Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be talking about love and relationships on our journey because we are shifting one day at a time. And as the vibrational being, we have to learn when something is working for us and when something is not working for us. Because on a deeper level, we are divinely all spiritually connected. But there are differences here. There are differences between someone who wants to shift and the person who's okay with staying where they are, okay? And this happens all the time in relationships. It happens all the times in friendships. It happens all the time between people in general, okay? So here's what we're going to do about it, all right? We're going to break that down. We're going to talk about the differences in betweening and understanding and knowing when it's time for you to leave that relationship or that friendship and just move on so that you can build connections with those who are like-minded. So you can build those connections that are actually beneficial to you. Okay, so if you do not know me, I am Danielle. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am a life coach, a mom of five, and a wife. I am a motivational speaker, okay? Today, we are going to be talking about love and relationships. If this resonates with you, please hit the like and subscribe button. Join the family. Find out what we all have to offer here for you because we are growing one day at a time. And on that journey of growing one day at a time, we are uplifting each other. We are empowering each other. And we are spreading that positive energy infectiously all across the world, okay? So if that inspires you, please hit the like and subscribe so that you can join the family. Now, let's get into it. Okay, so on this part of our journey, right? Like we have like so many connections. We have so many like different people who are in our world. When it comes to relationships, we'll start there first. When it comes to relationships, have you noticed? It's one-sided. You give your all to someone and they cannot reciprocate. You can be that lending ear to someone when they're going through their problems and struggles and they cannot reciprocate. When you are going through something and you are excited, they cannot be excited with you about your journey, your dreams, your goals. I think it's important that we take a moment to step back and review our part in the situation first because, excuse me, it matters. It matters. So a lot of the times that what I have noticed from relationships and friendships that I have had, like there have been red flags. I mean, like huge waving red flags to me, right? But with me wanting to see people in their highest truth, I always decide to give them a chance, to give them an opportunity, even though I feel that there's something there that doesn't feel quite right, right? But it's me wanting them to step into their higher self because I feel like with peace and the patience and the everything else that comes with that, that somehow that truth to be revealed and they'll want to change or they'll want to be a better person or they'll want to, and I mean, I'm not wrong for feeling that way. You're not wrong for feeling that way. It's giving people grace. It's literally giving people grace. A lot of the times they cannot reciprocate the energy that you're giving because they cannot. They just vibrationally are not in that same space, okay? You may be on a journey where if you're watching this video, I already know that you are shifting, you're moving, you're trying to do something better with your life. You are directly connecting with source and trying to create this life that you desire, the peace, the love, the happiness that you desire, right? And even with that being said, like a lot of people are okay with staying where they are. And that's okay if that's what they want. Okay? Now, if you notice that the people in your life are behaving this way and you try to motivate them, because we all do it, we all try to motivate the next person to do better in our life when we're on this journey, when we're changing, when we're on diets, when we're working out, when we're, doing something that we feel is positive for ourselves. But If that person does not relate or energetically vibrate in the direction of that thing or want that thing, they're going to reject it. They reject your love. They reject your advice. They reject your peace. They reject it all. Why? Because they are vibrationally where they are. And that means that they have some leveling up to do. However, you have to be okay with saying, you know what, we're just in two different places and that's okay. And loving them anyway. But also understanding that it's time for you to remove yourself or separate yourself from that person. Now, it's okay for you to decide to say, you know what, that's still my friend. I'm going to elevate. My friend isn't elevating. But you know what? I'm going to keep doing me and I'm going to be the best version of me. And I'm going to let them watch me be better. I'm going to let them watch me do more. But sometimes that don't work. I've had friends in my life where I could give them advice all day long. They hear me, they act like they understand, and then boom, they go through the same cycle again. Why is that? Sometimes they haven't learned from the first situation and they need to go back to the drawing board. Sometimes they just choose to go on the same path in the same direction again. And hey, if they want to repeat cycles, allow them to repeat that cycle because it's something beneficial that they're going to learn there. When they get tired of knocking their heads, they'll stop. This is what my grandma used to say. When you get tired of knocking your head, you'll stop. But at the end of the day, like that relationship, that bond, you know, it can really feel like you don't want to be without that person. You don't want to be in a space where you have to release them. It's tough. Who wants to release their best friend of 12 years, 20 years? You know, sometimes you have to. And I can attest to that. My best friends, and I love them to death. I love them to death. But when you take a step back and you look at your journey and you look at where they are on their journey, if it doesn't match up, what are you going to do? You can still love that person. You can still encourage them. You can still communicate with them. But what I found on my journey is I'm spiritually led, right? Like I am divinely guided. And that divine guidance doesn't keep me in this box, okay? That box that I'm talking about is the box of feeling like you have to go through negative relationships and you have to do, like, I don't want to be on that cycle. And what I noticed is that a lot of people in my life, they're okay with staying on that cycle. They're okay with going through the same thing because they feel like it's just life. It's just what you have to go through. It's just like, I don't agree with that. I feel like anytime you decide that you want a shift, that you want a change, that it can happen. Not everybody believes that it can happen for them. And because they don't believe that it can happen for them, they stay where they are. And then it left our relationship feeling strained. It left it feeling strained. I felt like I couldn't communicate with them as much. I felt like I couldn't really express myself because how could I express my spiritual experiences with you if you're stuck in religious mode? Because every time you bring up religion, sometimes there are certain people who get aggressive. They get aggressive and they feel the need to protect it. And if that's you, I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling justified for why you believe in something. But there are times when you should just listen and understand where other people are coming from so that you can pull pieces and bits from that to understand what you really are doing even more. And I felt like this one particular person became so involved in religion that it's like literally keeping them stuck where they are. But you can't express that to people who fiercely believe in what they're doing. So that person is okay with staying in that box. And I had to be okay with that. Although every time I talked to this person, it was just kind of like, yeah, and then it was like quotes from the Bible and it's quotes from this, but it's like, okay, I understand that, but can we have like a real conversation about stuff? And that real conversation about stuff where stuff can get deep and not just quoting what has been heard over and over in the church or quoting what has been heard constantly from other people. I wanted to have like a real conversation about it. But you can't do it. It has to stay surface because a lot of the times people don't really know deeply what exactly is really going on there. It's just blindly following other things. It's okay if you don't agree with me with that, but from my experiences, this is what I'm saying. Like you are free to believe what you want to believe. I grew up in this particular religion and everything, so I know exactly what they're feeling, where they got it from, and everything. However, I was given a vision that it was more to it than what we were being told. And I kept hearing it over and over and over again. And I tried to express this to this person, but this person really was so clogged with really the need. I don't even know how to say it. The need to be right, the satisfaction to be right, instead of actually listening and learning and trying to have this deep conversation. It always tended to be surface wise at that point. And then it left communication with this person very dull because it was like I needed my friend. I needed my friend to help me through, and talk with me through a lot of the spiritual things and dreams that I was having. They couldn't do that. I like, even when it came to like relationships and stuff, wanting that shift, wanting that change, like in a relationship and trying to talk about it with certain people, they just couldn't get it because it was like they're okay with the arguing, the fussing, the fighting, the constant bumping heads. And that's just not how I saw relationships needing to be. I didn't grow up with my mom fussing and fighting with people all the time. So, it wasn't like, in a relationship wise, like that was something that I felt was acceptable to me. But even when trying to encourage this particular person, is like there was a hold there on them with that relationship. And then, I couldn't really tell this person. It's like the words wasn't getting through. It's like the words wasn't getting through. And it was like me constantly going back to the drawing board. Like, okay, how can I explain to this person that they are literally causing a lot of this turmoil because they won't leave, because they won't decide to elevate themselves and be better and be in that space? How could I, get them to understand that? But it wasn't until I went through my own situations where it was just like every relationship just seemed unnecessary. Like this person just had this goo that they were spewing and I could sense it and I knew it, and it was just like I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And I just got to a point where I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna step back. I'm just gonna step back and do me. I'm just gonna step back and take care of my babies. I'm just gonna step back and just do what I needed to do, right? Because it was just like the more I tried to convince these people to be a better version of themselves, to elevate themselves, to meditate, to speak more positively about themselves and to speak more positively about their relationships and their life, it was like the more I received resistance. And that resistance today is still the same. Like Like even today, years ago, I mean 5, 6 years ago, when I decided to start on this journey, these people are still in the same place. And I'm not saying that as if, I'm being judgy. I'm saying that because I want people to wake up to the idea that sometimes we don't realize that we're putting ourselves in a lot of these situations. Like we're literally choosing to stay with someone we know cannot love us back. We're literally choosing to stay with someone who is not really hearing what we're saying, being in that friendship. We're literally choosing to be that person that everybody comes and leans on. But then when you need help up, nobody's there to help you. We literally stay in these relationships. Why is that? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Why is it? Because a lot of the times the relationships are one-sided. And when you're shifting and you're vibrationally leaving all these things behind, it's harder to stay connected with those who are on a level that you are not. And even with being so, you either have to keep leveling up and make that choice to firmly keep leveling up, or you are drawn right back down to the level they are because you don't value yourself enough. That's where the issue is. Not valuing yourself enough. I cannot tell you how many times I devalued myself. I literally, because of everything that I had felt in my heart, because of everything that I was carrying on my shoulders in my energetic field, I could not see that I was still trying to stay connected with people who did not value me the way that I needed to be valued, the way I valued them. Okay? Like there are things in this world that we have to make choices about, and it comes down to relationships. And even though we're high vibrating beings, a lot of us don't know the way. They have lost their way on the path, and they have veered into a section that may have no light. So you reaching your hand out to help them and bring them back into the light can actually work if they want it. But when they don't want it, what should we do? You have to plant seeds. Plant that light seed and walk away. Plant that light seed the next time you communicate with them and walk away. Eventually, if that person is meant to make the journey to leveling up, they're going to do it because it's their choice. Nobody does anything because they're forced to. We have choices. My friendship with someone is not because it's forced. I chose to be friends with this particular person, even though I knew this particular person may not be able to give me the same kindness and love back because they were going through so much on their own. Okay? And then on top of that, like I've dealt with relationships where it was like, the one-sided thing, like anytime they needed me, anytime they needed advice, anytime they needed something, I was there, I was researching, I'm like doing everything to like, so I can be able to give them the information that they need to help them be better, to motivate them. But all that was done in vain because that person really didn't value me the way that I value them. Okay? This person, like, I love this person. Like, I love their personality. I love, like everything about them. I love that they have been through a lot because they can teach you a lot just based on the stories and stuff that they could tell you. But this person don't value themselves as much. Okay? So they're willing to constantly go into turmoil, basically, energetically, just to feel light, just to get along with other people, just to be popular, just to have some kind of attention, okay? So take this with a grain of salt, okay? However you choose to connect with people, understand that you are directly responsible for if that relationship lasts or dissolves. Now, if you are a spiritual being and you're journeying up and you're getting better, it's time to release certain connections because those connections are not serving you. Those connections are not serving you by no means. A lot of the times when you're in friendships and connections and relationships with people and you're the one leveling up, it's so that they can learn something. And they may not learn anything in that moment. But when they look back, they'll see, hey, like that person was doing that. I wonder how that person is doing. And then they may get motivated. I cannot tell you how many times, like, I've had an old friend text me and be like, you know what? You know, when you told me XYZ, you were right. After months, after a year or whatever of talking to this person, like, literally, I would get a random text that said I was right about something. I helped them through something, and it's years later, it's months later, right? So planting that seed and walking away from it. Because I used to be in this space where it was like, I'm changing. I feel like everybody else around me should be changing. I feel like let me save this person. Let me help this person. Let me just make sure that I'm, doing my best to make sure that they're good. But I got to a point where I got burnt out. I got burnt out on friendships and relationships and connections because nothing in my life was serving me. And I was being guided towards my spiritual path, and they were not. And it was like I continuously allowed myself to help, to be there, to motivate, to encourage, to try to bring them the information they were seeking, to try to give them everything that I felt like they would be appreciative of. But they weren't, okay? Moral of the story, they weren't. So even with that being said, guys, like, we have to understand where we're coming from. And it's nothing personal. When you're disconnecting and cutting these cords, it's nothing personal. Okay? Because I used to feel like if I cut this person off, how would that person feel? They'll be mad at me. No, they weren't. Because it wasn't something that I had to do on a deep level, okay? I just started to take a step back. I stopped being the first one to call. I stopped being the first one to text. I stopped being the first one to speak. I stopped. And once I stopped, I saw what exactly I needed to see. That there was really no one in this corner behind me. There was really no one that I could really lean on and make sure that I was good the way I was making sure everybody else was good. There was no one. None of these friends, none of these connections were there for me when I went through my hardest part of life. Even though they were right there. They were right there with me on a regular basis. I saw them nearly every day. Were they there? No. Okay? I literally had a miscarriage, and I had one friend text me and say, it's okay, you'll have another baby. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, who wants to have a miscarriage at 4 months? It wasn't like it was 2 weeks. It wasn't like, this was like deeply hurtful for me. I mean, I'm showing and everything. It was something that I realized in that moment that particular person did not value me. They did not value me. And out of everybody I was in connection with, that person was the only person to reach out and connect to me. But that's exactly what they had to say. Everyone else heard nothing from. And then after a while, when they needed advice, when they needed help, then they reached out to me and said, hey, are you busy? I need to talk to you. And then when I responded, I'm busy, it was, are you upset about something? Are you like, can we talk about it? Whatever it is, we can talk about it. It was too late. It was too late at that point because I had already decided that, you know what? I'm just going to focus on me. I'm just going to focus on what I have going on, you know, because that was a very hurtful time in my life. Like, I had never, ever felt, first of all, that much pain or been through that situation in that way, the way that it happened, you know? So although I knew, you know, they weren't going through this same situation, it was okay because I decided that I wasn't going to connect with this person. And I knew that they didn't go through what I've been through. And if they did, maybe to them, it was okay. But for me in that moment, I was very vulnerable. I was very hurt. I didn't understand. I was very confused at why this was happening to me. So instead of having those friends in my corner, they literally weren't there for me at all. At all. And when I say at all, I mean 0 calls, 0 texts, 0 anything. Not even, I'm sorry this happened to you. Nothing. Nothing. Okay? And it wasn't like I didn't reach out and tell them, because I did tell them what was going on with me. But I was expecting this circle to come together so that, you know, I could have this motivation, that I could have this understanding that everything was going to be okay. I wanted someone else to tell me that it was going to be okay. You know, I had my mom, I had my mother-in-law, I had, you know, my husband, I had my sister. However, I knew they were there because they were here. But when it came down to me wanting the people who, you know, I've shared secrets with, connections with, all these other things with, like these conversations where I've helped them the same way, I wanted it reciprocated. I wanted the energy to be reciprocated. But even though the energy wasn't reciprocated, I learned a valuable lesson. There, you know? And that lesson was pretty much me understanding that people will use you until they have used you up. Okay? And until you get to a point where you are okay with understanding that these people are here and you're moving constantly here, it'll always hurt. It'll always somewhat hurt, okay? Because you want them to be there. You want them to encourage you. You want them to give you advice when you're going through stuff. Not just when you're going through the negative stuff, because I noticed that as well. If I called them up and I'm like, yeah, how about this person, you know, cut me off and I had to like cuss them out and all this kind of stuff. Oh, they'll respond then because it's on something negative. But when it's time to reciprocate any positive energy, they cannot do that. They're not energetically there. And I understood that. And at first, I was angry. Like, I was so livid with them because I felt like, who are you to think that I have to be here for you and you don't have to be here for me. Like, I was very angry. Very, very angry. Literally very, 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 very angry. Because it was like this person, these people, they continuously did the same thing. Like, anytime they needed help, anytime they needed something, I was always there. And guess what? When I stopped being there for them, when I stopped doing things for them, when I stopped making things for them, when I stopped giving them advice and caring about, the other side of their relationship and all that stuff, guess what? I stopped hearing from them altogether. I stopped hearing from them altogether. So know your worth, okay? I learned a valuable lesson about who I am, what I am, and where I'm going. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all, I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. Understanding your worth is crucial. Because at the end of the day, you're literally going to decide where you're going and where you're deciding not to go. Okay? You have to understand what is happening on an energetic level with people. Love them. Be there for them if you choose. You should always want to be there for somebody, okay? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is understanding and picking your battles and understanding where you're going, the direction you're choosing to go in. Sometimes it's going to be you releasing people and cutting things out of your life. Sometimes you're going to have to just walk through it with these people because you're meant to guide them, okay? But do not take on the job of trying to lift people up. That is not your job. They have to do that themselves. You have to do that yourself, okay? You have to decide when it's time to change. You have to decide when it's time to elevate and move to a different direction or a different path. No one can do that for you. It's the same thing with them. They have to make choices. Those choices are something that comes with consequences and benefits and reactions. So even with all of that, they still have choices to make on their own. On their own. They choose when to contact you. They choose when to love you. They choose when to show you any compassion or love at all. But you have to choose what's beneficial to you. Does this type of person being in your life benefit you? They was not benefiting me. So I chose to step back. It's not like I cut them off, but I chose to step back and just worry about me. And in that process and stepping back and worrying about me, I realized that there was literally no one standing next to me. Those people who I called friends were not standing next to me. They were not there, And I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people who get angry when somebody isn't always there for me. I don't really care about that. I'm a Scorpio. I don't really do like a lot of clinginess to friends and all of that, okay? I just want to put that out there. But my thing is that when I need you to be here. When I need you, at least give me a kind word. When I need you, reciprocate what I would do for you, okay? Because I literally go out of my way for people. And even with that going out of my way for people, it always seems like people cannot reciprocate that same energy, okay? So if you're one of those people that go out of your way for people, you might want to rethink your strategy. You might want to sit back and rethink like the connections and friendships that you have. Are they reciprocating? If they're not reciprocating and you're in a one-sided friendship like I was, then maybe it's time to release that person. Or just take a step back. Take a step back and see how the natural flow of things come. If you're not the first one to call, if you're not the first one to text, if you're not the first one to give advice, if you're the one that stays away from the one giving advice, you stay away from being that person that everybody calls on when they're in trouble, then see how valuable you are to them. Okay? So your energy matters. And being in connection to others who energies are chaotic, when you're trying to be an energy at peace, it's like a constant give and take, because a lot of the times they dump all their stuff, all their feelings, all their ailments, all their things on you. And then you're left carrying the load. Now you're angry. Now you're sad for them. Now you're holding all this stuff. And you're just trucking along. And you're just hoping and wishing and praying. And then you turn around. And that person right back in the arms of that person. That person is doing the same thing that they said that they vowed not to do anymore. That person is still dealing with the same people and doing the same things that they said that they weren't going to do. But all the while, you're holding on to their stuff. They didn't transfer it to you. So now that they didn't transfer it to you and they feel like you really care, now they can go back over here and do exactly what they were doing and pick up exactly where they picked off, because they just needed to unload. They just needed to unload so they can go pack back up. Okay? That's how I choose to look at it, because that's how it feels to me. But you guys have to think like on a grand scale, like what is it though? Like what exactly is happening here? I was that person. I'm carrying everybody's load. Like I feel their energy. I feel sad for them. I feel happy for them when they have stuff. I feel angry when they're angry. Like I was that person. I was that person. But I learned something about myself. I am loving. I am caring. I am nurturing. I want the best for everyone. However, I had to take that step back so that I can choose how I would spend my energy, how I can spend my time. So I can choose how I was going to elevate my life and where I was going with it, because these particular people did not care what I had going on as long as they was able to come and dump all their stuff on me. As long as I was able to help them, as long as I was able to give them advice, as long as I was able to make things for them and, be there for them in whatever capacity that they wanted, But there's lessons to be learned here on both ends. Because one day maybe they'll understand. And maybe they'll want somebody to be there for them the same way you wanted somebody to be there for you. And on the other end, now you understand. So now you understand that your worth is more valuable and that you can move on with life, that you can keep moving, that you can go and do the things that you want to do in your life and be happy. And if that person just so happens to reach out, y'all connect for a second. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. And then you let them go. It doesn't mean you have to completely erase them from your life. But you do have to understand the connection. Understand that. Understand the connection that you have to people. Because that's the biggest issue. We'll be working on ourselves. We'll be doing good. We're doing good. And then that person call and then they going through this and they going through that. And now you riled up and you like, wait a minute. How they get to treat you like that? And why they do it? And then you turn around. They doing it again. They're with that person. They're doing the things that they said they wouldn't do. So you have to make a choice. Whatever that choice is, I hope that it benefits you greatly. I hope you can literally see the benefits of that friendship and everything that comes with it. Okay? I was going to say the pros and the cons, because that leads me right into my writing exercise. Okay? Now, understand that your love for these people will never change. I mean, it can, but you'll always care for them. You'll always want the best for them. You'll always want everything to be kosher and lovely and beautiful in their life and them to be happy. Because why wouldn't you do that for people you love? But on a scale where it's you or them, you're going to have to learn how to choose you more often than you choose them. Okay? Because your peace matters. The way that you love yourself matters. Your energetic vibration matters. allowing somebody to unload on you is a thing of the past. Okay? Today, we are not doing that any longer. We are not allowing people to dump their energy, to dump their negativity on us. We're going to live our life to the fullest, the best way we know how. And as we're continuing on our journey, we're going to get better and better at it. And then as we are reaching down or looking down to help others up, we understand that I can help you, but then I got to sever that connection again. Because that energy, learning how to sever the energy between you and other people is going to be important. Okay? And that don't mean, when I say sever the energy, I'm just stating that you're going to learn how to allow other people to keep their own energy and you not take on their energy. Because if you're like me and you care about everyone and everything, then it becomes hard to try to separate, like, wanting to be there for people and being there for yourself. Because it becomes something that you're just willing to give your all to that person, even if that person can't reciprocate back. And even though we see it, even though we know it, sometimes we let our judgment of love cloud us in that way. Now, don't get me wrong. You want to lead with love always. However, what you want to do is make sure that you're able to sever that energy and being there for someone and then being able to step back and go your way and understand that, hey, it's up to that person if they do or they don't. It's up to that person how they decide to treat me. But because you can't control how people treat you, you have to step back and understand and weigh the pros and the cons of that relationship so you can even understand if it's even worth keeping. Okay? There were a lot of relationships in my life that it was not worth keeping. It was not worth keeping. Okay? And don't think that just because they're blood that is worth keeping. Take a step back. Focus on you. Love you. And then when the time comes back for you guys to link up, then it'll be better than ever. If that person also has done the work on themselves. If not, at least you'll know. Excuse me. At least you'll know. But in a time where everything around us is like doing its own thing, right? It's like chaotic and it's like all these things are happening. We have to choose where we want to be vibrationally. We have to choose what we're connected to. We have to choose what we're desiring and how we're getting there. Okay? You'll be surprised at how many people do not support you until you start doing something that they feel like they want to do or something they can benefit off of. You'll be surprised. So understand your worth. Understand your worth, because it's like when you give everybody your all, when you giving everybody your all, who is pouring into you? Who is pouring into you? If there's no one pouring into you and you can't name that one person that's always there for you and you're there for them and it's equal, the bond, the love, the frequency, the amount of times you guys have been there for each other is equal, you might want to sit and think about that. Okay? Because a lot of us do not have those type of bonds. A lot of people bond over trauma. Trauma is like the worst thing to bond over because it's like you're literally bonding on negativity. And that's just, it's not right. I mean, it's good that people are bonding and they're able to connect with people. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, it's bad for you to want to bond with somebody over negative things. If that's your thing, that's your thing. However, if I'm a high vibrational being and I'm trying my best to be vibrating high on a regular basis, study bonding with somebody over, the trauma that they've had in their life. It's one thing if you're helping someone, if you're helping them through it and you're giving advice and you're there for them and you're helping people heal or something like that. It's not okay when you trauma bond over things that have happened, like in past relationships. Oh yeah, that man cheated on me. So yeah, my man cheated on me too. And girl, let me. And then every time y'all talk, it's the same energy. It's the same conversation. It never changes. When this person starts to do something better and different with their life, this person can't help but to keep talking about what's down here. Okay. So it's important that we understand, like, our energy, our frequencies, where we're going. Does this benefit me? Does this not benefit me? Relationships not benefiting you in 2025 is dead. Okay? That relationship is going nowhere. If you are still looking at one-sided friendships and relationships, it is dead. Nothing can grow from this soil. Okay? Nothing is going to grow from that soil. Nothing is going to be produced off that plant because you're literally not adding any nutrients to it. They're nutrients and sunlight, water, whatever you decide to put here. If I had sunlight and I was the sunlight and this person was the water and we had to water this plant, which was called our friendship, and I was, making sure the sunlight was there, but this person wasn't making sure the water was there, the plant is going to dehydrate. It's literally little drops, little drops, little drops. Is that enough to benefit the friendship? Is that enough to benefit you? Is that enough to benefit that person? What you're giving is benefiting them. However, what are they giving? Is it equal? Is it anything in your relationship that needs to shift? Is there something that needs to change? Is it one-sided? On a piece of paper, I want you to write down the pros and the cons, okay? What is the pro and the con of this relationship? On the pro side, if they're a good friend, if they call you, if they contact you, if they're there for you, write all of that. On the other side, if you say, hey, this person is fun to be around, but they're not there for me on the con side. They're not, they don't return my text. They don't call me. They don't communicate with me if I don't communicate with them first. They always calling and dumping their energy on me. They never change. They're like, if you have any of that, then that's how you know if your cons outweigh your pros. It's time to release that relationship. At least just take a step back for a while and see how it go and allow it to disintegrate itself, okay? Because that's what I did. I just allowed the relationship to disintegrate on its own, okay? Because those who are there for me, those who really love me, those who really want to be in my world are going to communicate with you. They'll notice, like, hey, it's been a while since I talked to this person. Why I ain't talked to this person in a while? They're going to want to know if you're okay. And on the opposite end, you'll step back and you won't give any communication out. And then guess what? That person will never contact you. That person will never reach out to you unless they need you for something. When people called me after they've needed me for something, after it's been a while that I haven't heard from them, I just couldn't do it. I just conveniently just couldn't do it. And it's a reason why. It's a reason why. I'm going to specifically make myself say no. Simple as that. My time is worth more than just you picking up the phone when you're bored or when you're going through something and you choose to dump on me because guess what? You ain't talked to me in a while and now you need to somehow check up on me to make sure I'm not doing better than you. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. But I know y'all know what I'm talking about. It's not like I'm in it on my own. I know a lot of us, because this is like the basis of friendships now. Like, it's okay if your friends may not talk to you every day, and that's fine. Problem is, when do they ever call you? When do they ever text you first? It's certain things and warrant signs and signals there that should lead you to understanding what type of relationship this is, okay? So I hope this was helpful. This has been quite a long video. I didn't try to make it this long, but I just needed for you guys to understand, what's the difference between a one-sided relationship and a relationship that's benefiting you. Understanding the pros and the cons of relationships and what it means to like step back, to stopping other people's energy from bombarding you, But I hope this video was helpful. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.